So we are here at the end of our day today at TPM Realty, but we wanted to put together some short little videos on a few topics that we seem to have to explain over and over when we get calls from investors. So we are here in Toledo, Ohio, and one of the things that I want to talk about is we keep getting calls from investors about Section 8, which, by the way, is no longer called Section 8. It's called affordable housing. And in our town, it's called Lucas Metropolitan Housing. And
let me adjust. Lucas Metropolitan Housing. They removed the A, which was the authority. It's no longer the authority. It's just LMH.
LMH.
Yep.
So with that being said, there's about 5,000 vouchers here in the Toledo area. Vouchers are priced by bedrooms. So there'll be an efficiency, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom. Whenever they give a voucher amount, it is a total amount with utilities included. So when tenants call and say, hey, I've got a 4-bedroom voucher for, what is the 4-bedroom voucher for now? We gotta look it up. They just actually went down. So
the 4-bedroom voucher amount in 2024 was $1,653, and in 2025 got lowered to $1,584.
So they had
Explain that though, because it doesn't mean that they're gonna pay $1,584 for rent.
No. It means that if you were gonna supply a 4-bedroom house and pay gas, electric, water, trash, do their lawn, do their snow, that's what that voucher would pay. Now, we never recommend you ever pay your tenants' utilities, especially water. You want to...
Especially in a 4-bedroom house.
Yes, because you're going to have a lot of people.
Especially if you have, and this isn't legitimately the right way to do it, but especially if you have 2 people per room, because that could be 2, 4, 6, 8 people all sharing water. Although it goes by square footage now, not just 2 people per room. But continue.
Yeah, another topic we can have down the line. Because if you do say 2 heads per bed, that is a fair housing violation. So we'll talk about fair housing on another day.
More than enough.
But right now, what that 4-bedroom is actually going to pay, if you take that $1,584 and you subtract, and they give you a worksheet on the website, you subtract a certain amount for paying their gas, them paying their electric, them paying their water, them supplying utilities. For us, when we look at a 4-bedroom in our houses, because we have our tenants pay all of their own utilities, they take care of their lawn, they take care of their snow, and they supply their own appliances, that 4-bedroom voucher pays, on average, $1,330 of rent. So that's a big difference when you're going to look at a house and you say, okay, well, I can get $1,584 a month rent from the affordable housing program, and then you buy it off of those numbers, and then you put somebody in and find out you're only going to get $1,330. Now, the other thing that affordable housing adjusts for is market rent and tenant income. So tenants are only allowed to sign a lease for 30% of their income amount. Now, I don't quite understand how some people with no income end up with a full voucher, but usually it's less than whatever the bedroom amount is. So say somebody that was working with a 4-bedroom voucher, they would get approved for that full amount of $1,330 rent. But somebody not working would probably only be approved for $900 or $1,000 lease. So it goes by tenant income. It also goes by market rent in the area. So this is what we're having trouble with right now, is for 3 years now after COVID, they raised it to 10% above the market rent, which still wasn't even really our market rent for our houses in West Toledo.
What is the general market rent in 43612 for a 3-bedroom house?
Right now we're getting $1,395.
Okay, so $1,400.
Up to $1,595.
So currently, right now, the 3-bedroom housing top amount that they're going to allow is $1,508, and that, of course, minus their utility deductions. So what does that equal out to?
Right now we're getting about $1,255 a month with a voucher. on the west side of Toledo. And we only get that if we send in comparable comps showing that our other houses are getting that or above. That's another thing. Whenever we send in, because we don't want them to use their website to determine what our market rent is, because we know what our market rent is, they'll use a little website, and that's only people who report on their website that they've leased properties out for a certain amount. And not all of them make it on that website. So we provide comparables, but right now with them paying about $12.55 on average, and our lowest is about $13.95, that takes out buying houses on the west side for the program.
LMH vouchers. Yep.
Yes, for the program.
In layman's term, the voucher amounts aren't keeping up with what the market rent is in
different areas. So I have 2 houses in East Toledo that fit into 3-bedroom vouchers perfectly, because they are about $1,200 a month rent.
Yep.
Because East Toledo's rents are a little bit lower. Now, the problem that you have sometimes too, when you can say, well, I'll take that lower rent for a little bit and I can raise it over time. So as long as you can verify comparables, you can keep raising that rent over time. But right now we're in a seller's market. So what we have is people competing for these houses. So we're not getting deep discounts like before. So you have to plan to buy a house and plan on making it the nicest house on the market so that you can get the highest rent, so that you can keep getting the good returns that we get here in Toledo.
Pause. I am going to flip this around just so I know it's still recording. Just don't look at it because it looks weird. All right.
And then you're going to cut this whole part out.
Yep.
So
maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it.
So the things that you need to take away from understanding working with affordable housing is, 1, the payment schedules that they put online or the award letters that tenants give you includes all utilities. So you have to print the form off of line, and you have to go through item by item. They'll give you an amount. Like if they're paying for gas and heat is gas, then you have to deduct $35. Same with your electric, same with your water, and it all goes by how many bedrooms too. So when you deduct those off, then you'll end up with your bottom line rent amount that voucher will pay for. So understand that before you close a house, thinking that you are going to get a large amount with a voucher.
And all of that information can be found on lucasmha.org, and they actually have Zoom meetings that are available to the public that break down how utility allotments work and deductions from their normal payment standards. So you can view all of that information online totally for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
because there's Section 8 mastermind courses out there. I'm not calling anybody out.
Yeah, not calling anybody out.
But I'm just saying that don't understand the allotments and the deductions that they take out of their payment standards. So
yeah. So the second thing is to realize that just because a voucher says it pays so much does not mean that that's what the market rent for is in the area. So on the north end, I can't get as much for my 3-bedroom houses as I can get on the west end because the market rent is different. So when they run a market rent analysis and you're asking $1,200, but the market rent comes up to say $1,025, unless you can provide 3 comps that says that you have other houses rented in that area for that amount, they're going to drop the rent and only approve the amount that they're finding to be market rent. So you always want to make sure you have comparables when you submit a tenant with your voucher.
And I'll take it one step further too, because you're talking about 2 different zip codes, but market rent can be different within the same zip code.
Yep.
So this house that we have right here might have a market rent of $1,400, but a mile away, market rent might be $1,200. So it's very, very street by street. It's not zip code by zip code.
Well, it's actually within a mile.
Yep.
You have to produce comparables within a mile of your house. Most of the time, with the way that Toledo is, you're block by block.
And that's on the RAFTA form that you fill out for the tenant, for us, when they drop off their deposit.
Right.
So you actually have to write down comparables with leases that we have.
Yep.
Active leases.
And
correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And this is where having a good network of people and other landlords is so important. So if I don't have very many rentals in, say, our north end, I have a great friend, Kim, who has like 50 rentals over there. So if I don't have comparables, I'm going to call Kim and I'm going to say,
Hi, Kim.
Kim, can you send me a couple leases so that I can, get the rent? And in the same respect, she does that with me. She had a house in Point Place that she was trying to get a certain amount for. She didn't have comparables. She called me. I had 3 comparables, and I sent them over for her. So, you really have to work together and have a good community of people so that you can keep your rents up if you're working with that program. And then the third thing is tenant income. For us, we do not allow tenants in any of our homes unless they have other sources of income. So even though Section 8 pays 100% of their rent, they get their utilities paid, they still do not qualify with us because we want them to have a certain amount of disposable income. And if they destroy my house, I want to make sure that I can go after them for something.
Exactly.
Now, there are cases where, of course, we accept Social Security and Social Security disability, and that is not something that you can really go after. But it is a really good source of income. We have a huge 50-plus generation here. So we have a lot of single women in their 50s that are renting 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that come in with vouchers with just Social Security income. And we do a great background check. We make sure they have great rental history, that when they've moved out of their previous places, they've taken care of them, and that reduces the risk of having to go after them. But we want them to have income so that we know they can keep their utilities on.
Yep. And I think tenant qualification could be in a video all by itself.
Yeah,
but the important part about income too is verifiable income, because not just, hey, I own my own business but I don't claim any of the money income. This is verifiable income, either SSI, disability, pay stubs, W-2s, very verifiable and legitimate, that we require before somebody moves into our house.
With all of our tenants, including tenants who have their rent paid for them. You always got to protect your investment, and that's how you do it. And I think that concludes our...
I think it's a good little...
affordable housing.
10-minute video. I think you can expand on a lot of those, but I think it's a lot of good tidbits of information.
And if you're looking to